Hey, what's up? Matt Carlson here, and I want to show you an exciting new software plugin that I just bought called Cinematch from the creators of Film Convert. I am not sponsored by them, and this is a completely unbiased review. I'm an independent videographer, and I use the DJI Air 2S for a lot of my drone shots, and I've never really been happy with the colors shooting in log, which gives you the most dynamic range. I'm not a professional colorist, but I can usually get an image to look decent with some color correcting and color grading. I had always struggled with the Air 2S colors, and most specifically the greens. They always looked dull and lifeless to me, and no matter what I did, I couldn't get them to look as good as the greens from my Sony a7S III. This became even more evident when I had an Air 2S shot and an a7S III shot back to back in an edit. It was so frustrating, until I heard about Cinematch. At first, I didn't believe it was true that it could match up different camera manufacturers' colors with the click of a button. So I decided to download a free trial of the software for Final Cut to try it out. I was so impressed with how well it worked, I immediately bought the software and have been using it ever since. So let's head over to the edit bay and I'll show you how well it works. All right, here we are in Final Cut, and here's an Air 2S shot from last summer, shot in 5K at 29.97 frames per second. No LUT is applied, and before I had Cinematch, what I would typically do is come in here, adjust the exposure a little bit. Usually my D-log, I would shoot minus 0.3 or 0.7 EV just so that I didn't clip any of the highlights, and come in here, get the exposure close, and then boost the saturation. And you can see there it helped the greens and the overall just expanding the dynamic range and boosting the saturation. But the greens still don't look great, especially when you compare them to the a7S III shot with its greens. They're okay, but I wanted more. So let's just go back here and go back to our standard shot. No LUT. And here we are. Go into the effects tab, camera matching, and Cinematch. We add that plugin. We open up the controls, and what you do first is choose your source camera. So this is the DJI Air 2S in D-Log. They have a few other drones in here as well, and they're always adding new camera profiles as well. So then I want to match it to my a7S III, so go to Sony. And right away you say, oh, that's crazy. What happened? Well, it took the A1 by default and HLG Rec 2020. So you just go down here to select the a7S III. And then the way I usually shoot, especially outdoor footage, is S-Log3 S-Gamut3.Cine to give me the most dynamic range. And so I select that. And now I have a log curve that matches the Sony a7S III. So once I apply the Rec 709 transform, boom, you can see immediately how good that looks. It's just the greens look a lot more vibrant and not as dull and lifeless as the other ones. And yeah, maybe this shot's a little too warm, but that's more probably a white balance issue with the drone. But the nice thing is you can come in here, you can change the temperature, the tint, the exposure. So I would probably cool this shot off a little bit. And then what you can do as well is you can do hue, saturation, luminance with specific colors, and you can do secondary corrections there and RGB curves and levels all within the plugin. Now what I usually do is once I get it set there, I usually use Final Cut's color correction for exposure. And in this instance, I would kind of do the same thing I did before, where I would broaden out the dynamic range and add a little more contrast in there by bringing the mids down. And that right there would be an image that would be a lot closer to my A7S III shot. And I could come in and refine it even more if I had them next to each other in an edit. But I'm really happy with the colors, especially the greens that the Cinematch program converts it to. And then the other cool thing you can do is you can actually export a LUT right from Cinematch. So you can just add a LUT onto your Air 2S footage, and that way you don't have to go through all the settings again. So that's kind of cool. Hopefully that gave you an idea of what Cinematch can do for bringing your Air 2S footage to life, as well as matching other cameras like my A7S III's colors. I've been super happy with the plugin, and it feels like I've got a new drone again. If you're interested in the plugin, just do what I did and go download a free trial and see for yourself. I'll put a link in the description below. I'm new to the YouTube game, and I'm going to start creating a lot more videos, so subscribe if you'd like to learn more about video. Thanks for watching.